That was the Irish Guards recording of She Loves You. And the Irish Guards are just one of many and literally varied people who've recorded compositions by Lennon and McCartney. I've got a list of at least 300 recordings that have been made in this country alone by all sorts of people who have taken a fancy to different types of Lennon and McCartney songs. And the two gentlemen concerned are sitting with me now in the sitting room of Paul McCartney's house. Starting off with a question about, do you ever resent anybody else recording your songs?
No. Never.
No, never.
It's all good. It's all good stuff, you know, whatever anyone does with it. They always make it different and normally better than we did.
You seriously mean that?
Well, yes, quite often. Yeah.
I don't agree on that point, Paul.
Not always better than you.
John doesn't agree.
No, it's just the opposite, I think. But it's still good them all doing them.
But do you get more interest out of artists who are perhaps, unlike yourself, solo artists, say, the Peggy Lee type? Does that interest you more than another group copying your style?
Yeah. That's what I meant, actually, when I said I don't necessarily mean they're sort of much better.
Oh, well, I agree with you now, Paul.
That's the thing, really, that when they do them, when people like Peggy Lee do them, then it's they do them different, and it's probably just a bit better because it's different for me.
It's been a hard day's night, and I've been working like a dog. It's been a hard day's night, I should be sleeping like a log. But when I get on to you, I find the thing that you do will make me feel alright.
Peggy Lee's recording of A Hard Day's Night. Have you got any thoughts on other composers, people whose work you particularly admire?
Yeah, who is there? There's lots of them, actually. They're not sort of big as composers, mainly the ones. I like still, I think, Goffin and King. Because they're the kind of writers that we set out to be. You know, those were what we wanted to be originally. Because it was they wrote all the big sort of hits at the time.
And they were
always
nice as well.
Yeah, always nice, sort of commercial, great, sort of easy to sing and everything.
But not horrible. They're all sort of, you know...
I mean,
You're never sickly, you know.
They were up above the corn belt.
Yeah.
And interesting as songs.
And we were just deciding which one was going to be Carol, that sort of decided we'd have our own system instead.
It turned out to be me.
All My Loving, as recorded by Matt Monro. Do you want to say anything about this one?
It's fine, you know. He did it how people imagine it should be done.
Yeah, that was the thing. After Matt Monro did it, everyone said, oh, that's a nice song, isn't it? Whereas beforehand, they thought it was just a gay little ditty, you know. And it still is. But it changed a few people's minds about us, I think.
Close your eyes and I'll kiss you. Tomorrow I'll miss you. Remember, I'll always be true. And then while I'm away, I'll ride home every day and send all my loving to you.
That was Matt Monro with All My Loving. How far do you feel that your individual talents are dependent upon each other? I mean, are you sort of Gilbert and Sullivan or Rodgers and Hammerstein? Do you need to work together as composers?
No, not really, but it helps a lot.
Just on the old maxim of two minds are better than one.
Yeah.
You get another point of view as well.
The thing is, because we can do them on our own, but often one of us will just do a song and there'll be, say, one verse in it that's very bad or something, and it's very corny and if I've written it, then I'll sort of take it along and sing it to John. And he'll say, that verse is terrible and that verse is corny. Come in, Mrs. Higgins.
Because you still get so involved with something, you finish it, if you're on your own, you haven't got the energy to go over it and sort of see, you know, if it really makes exactly what you want. So if you sing it over to each other, even if it's a finished song, you know, with almost the arrangement, it's still sort of, yes, that's fine.
Your milk,
Oh.
John.
Thank you, Mrs. Higgins.
Oh, thank you.
It's really nice to hear that.
Mrs. Higgins arriving with 3 glasses of milk.
It's not even Mrs. Higgins either.
Oh, well. Yeah, you've got one bus driver.
That was Mr. Higgins.
Oh, yes. Do you consider that the two, do you consider you think alike, or do you think differently and therefore help each other?
We think nearly alike, but pretty differently at the same time. But I mean, you know, we can write a song, say like Day Tripper, where we've got to write one, and at the same time be the same writing it. You know, we can write it thinking the same thing about it. But if we each wrote it individually, it'd be a completely different song.
Yeah. Well, there's a slight difference in this one we're going to hear now. Lena Horne with And I Love Him.
I give him all my love, that's all I do. And if you saw my love, you'd love him too. And I love him.
I didn't write that.
Lena Horne with And I Love Him. What did you write?
And I love her.
And You Love Her. Was it written for anybody in particular
Yes, Keith.
at that time?
Yeah, you know, I mean, I think probably most of them are.
Most of the songs are.
Yeah, I think so, in a way.
Have you written any songs specifically for people? Did you write Wait for Frankie Vaughan?
No,
Have
we
you?
weren't thinking of Frankie at the time. But no, we used to write in the early days when we had more time to write for other people, or we seemed to be. We wrote, that's the only time
Wrote
we
one for Helen
people.
Shapiro and Kenny Lynch did it.
Yes.
We wrote one for Cliff and we did it. And Billy J and those days were the only ones we really wrote for people. We thought we had some to spare.
It's been a long time now. I'm coming back home. I've been away now. Oh, how I've been alone. Wait till I come back to your side. We forget the tears we cried.
Frankie Vaughan with Wait. The songs like And I Love Her, If I Fell, Michelle Yesterday, the more winsome type songs. Do you find yourselves able to write in this mood at a particular time of day or night? Are you nighttime writers or?
You'll have to excuse the dog, listeners, but he doesn't know we're on the radio.
How old is this dog?
7 weeks, actually, 7 weeks, so it doesn't really understand about the BBC yet.
What type of dog is it?
Old
type's it
English,
going to be?
Old English sheepdog, it will be eventually.
young English
At the
sheepdog,
moment,
isn't
it's a spaniel.
Right, where have we got to? Oh yes, these songs. Do you prefer writing at night? Are you night workers?
No, any time really. You know, when you're awake. Not too near the morning when you're half asleep, and not when you're tired, so it doesn't matter what time it is, but just the period when you feel quite healthy.
Do you use piano, guitars, what, when you're playing?
Anything, you know,
That's
piano
about all
or
we can do.
guitar. Yeah, that's about our limit.
I'm just finding I don't know enough chords to write them with guitar, so I'll have to get some old fella to come in and play to me.
It's got to be an old fella, though.
Yeah.
It couldn't be one of these young whiz-bang kids, you know.
He wouldn't have time.
When we started doing them, we started apart from each other. You know, and John had written one, and I'd written one, I think. And then we just happened to start writing them together, you know. And then I think the reason, for instance, that George didn't write any was that he thought that it was just that we could write the songs and that the other two couldn't. And Ringo still thinks it, I think. But I think anyone can write songs, probably.
Well, you find out that you can, you know, gonna carry on writing them and they are gonna come or not, you know. It just goes on forever and you never get a tune, well then give up.
There's some words that we use all the time. You know, for rhymes and things, if you're stuck, there's always you and new and things.
And day and
day, you know.
There's sort of,
you
get a
find
little
yourself
section
doing
in your
those.
mind.
You find yourself doing them, and they're probably hackneyed
Well, there it is. It's been very enjoyable in your own, in the incredible quiet of your own sitting room, Paul.
It's very quiet in here, Keith, except for the dogs howling and the clock ticking. And
Otherwise,
well, it's been nice to have you, really.
John,
Very
thank you
nice.
very much too for coming over.
A pleasure. It was
Away from your
enjoyable.
home.
Anytime you're
Nice
around,
paddies,
pop
though,
in.
isn't it, as they say in the teen rave?
Teenage rave. Well, thanks, Keith. And if you're ever around this way again, pop in.